Singer, songwriter, talent scout, producer, and record label head. The man I'm hanging with today has worn many hats, but he's back wearing the hat we like best. Singer, songwriter, and creator of some truly great music. It's a great honor to be hanging with in the VH1 Classic studio, someone who is certainly no stranger to anyone watching, Ric Ocasek. Ric?
Nice to see you.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Great to meet you. Ric has a great new album, which has just arrived in stores. Nexterday is Ric's first new album in 8 years, and both fans and critics who've heard it agree it's been well worth the wait. Find out for yourself, because Nexterday is in stores right now. So, Ric, as I mentioned at the top, you've certainly done a lot of things in music in your career. It's been 8 years, though, since you've done a record of your own. Why was now the right time to do a new solo record?
Well, I did a lot of productions over the last, actually, 5 years. I think I got very busy with productions, and even though I had written the record maybe even a couple of years ago, I guess the opportunity just came up to release it now, so that's why it took a little more time than normal.
So was this something that you had written all the songs a while ago, or did you write specifically for the song? Is it a mix of old and new songs? How much of this was around for a while?
Well, actually, it's not a mix. They're all new songs. It's just that I wrote the record probably 2 years before it was actually released.
Okay.
I think one of the things you mentioned is I for a while went to, work with Elektra Records for a while. And so during that 1 year I was there, I didn't want to release a record. I didn't want to give it to Elektra at that point.
Right.
So I held on to it until I was sort of out of there, and then I decided to put it out.
And we should mention that it's out on your own record label as well, which we'll get into in a little bit. One of the things in listening to the record that really struck me is there's really a very, for lack of a better word, organic sound to the record. It really sounds like you in a room with your guitar and really kind of just almost a more stripped down approach than maybe you've had previously. Would you agree with that? Is that something you went for?
Yeah, 100%. In fact, this record was basically recorded in my home studio. I intentionally kept it simplistic. Sometimes when you write songs, you demo them up and then you go in the studio and re-record everything, in a bigger in life way. But on this record, I just at the point of inspiration, left it the way it was. I wrote the songs and sort of demoed them out, made the demos a little bit glorious, and I didn't re-record it. So I specifically kept it simple. Yeah.
Was that the way that a lot of the Cars records were written too? I mean, if you would go back and listen to a demo of some of the early Cars material, would it also be in that more stripped down form, or because it was more of a band project, there was more going on?
I would say it was more in that form.
Yeah.
It was more in the stripped down form.
Right.
The basic songs were there, and some of the parts were there, and and then we would go and rehearse the song and embellish it, and that's what ended up with the finished.
You've written so many amazing songs throughout your career, both with the Cars and, of course, in your solo career. Take us through, if you can, your writing process a little bit. Are you somebody that is always writing songs, or do you have to really kind of bunker down and get isolated to work on music?
I suppose I'm an isolationist when it comes to that. I get in the mood to write songs, a couple of times a year. I will work on writing songs for possibly, a couple of months, and I'll usually overwrite. I'll usually write 30 or 40 songs. Then I pick my favorites, and that usually becomes the album. Yeah, I couldn't do it on a daily basis. I really do need to sort of be either bored enough or have, acquired enough things, enough things that I want to say or something in order to write songs, but I certainly couldn't do it like on a daily basis.
As we mentioned earlier too, I mean, in the last few years, Ric has become one of the premier producers in music, and you've worked with people like Hole and No Doubt and Weezer, to name a very few. Having done that production work, creatively, what do you like better? Do you like being on the other side of the board or being the musician, now that you've done both things for a bit?
Well, primarily, I think that the thing I like about music the most is writing songs. So I would consider myself, a songwriter first. But I also love, studios and technology and making records. I particularly like to make records for brand new bands because I think I'm listening to the albums for the future, you know, I'm listening to them ahead of time. And I'm sympathetic to the artists because I've, you know, been through all that. So it's easy for me to, you know, figure out what they kind of want to get. I think I'm not too scary to them. Maybe I'm scary looking to them, but I'm not too scary in the studio, you know.
Right.
And, you know, it's kind of nice. It's a nice relationship. I just sort of almost feel like a, you know, a person in their band, but I'll have a little bit of diplomacy that the band might not have between each other. And I think they feel comfortable that, you know, they'll get exactly what they want.
Right.
I don't try to change their sound. Usually, you know, I like them the way they sound, so I don't want to change that. So I like both parts, but writing is definitely the most important thing for me.
Plenty more coming up with Ric Ocasek, but before we go to that next video, let me just ask you a quick question about the title of the album, Nexterday, which is kind of like a Back to the Future vibe with that. And I know there's a story behind it, so share it with everyone if you can.
Well, Nexterday actually came from the mouth of my 4-year-old who couldn't say tomorrow, or didn't know the difference between tomorrow and yesterday. Okay. So when he would talk about the future or the past, he would say Nexterday. So it was just up to us to figure out if it was supposed to be forward or backwards.
And his name is?
Oliver.
We'll give Oliver credit for a very cool album title. He's on his way already in the music business,
That's right? Yeah.
Plenty more coming up as I continue to hang with Ric Ocasek. And now, from the VH1 Classic studio, VH1 Classic is proud to present Ric Ocasek performing Bottom Dollar from his new album, Nexterday.
All right, this is called Bottom Dollar. Bet your bottom dollar you're gonna feel alright. 'Cause when you shout and holler, you're gonna stand upright. I bet they wanna corner you, want to be there just for you. Bet your bottom dollar you're gonna get it right. Dream your life away, what would you choose? And if you could dream your life away, I'd dream it with you. Feeling cross and wavy on the edge of the cuff, just a pushing and a popping, 'cause you don't get enough. I just wanna hold you tight, make sure everything feels alright. Bet your bottom dollar you're gonna get it right. And if you could dream your life away, what would you choose? And if you could dream your life away, I'd dream it with you. Woo. And bet your bottom dollar you're gonna feel alright. 'Cause when you shout and holler, you're gonna stand upright. Stand upright. They're gonna stand upright. They're gonna stand upright.
Ric, thank you so much for that really awesome live performance here at the studio. It's really one of the coolest parts of the gig to see artists like yourself come in and do music that lends itself so well. We were saying earlier off camera, actually, that a good song is a good song, no matter how it's played, and you certainly proved that, not only with the old Cars stuff, but also the great new music on Nexterday. Now, we'll get to these jeans in just a second and what we're going to have Rick do with them, and it's not try them on, so it's okay.
That's good.
We'll come back, though. We want to tell you right now, however, about Rick's new album, Nexterday, a little bit more because it's in stores now. What more can be said about Rick's latest solo album, Nexterday? Well, it's full of the trademark sounds that made the Cars one of the biggest bands of the 1970s and 1980s. But never want to stick to old formulas. It also shows just why Rick has always been and always will be at the cutting edge of new music. Nexterday is in stores now. So, Rick, I hear some talk about a Cars documentary that's in the works. What can you share with us about that and where it stands?
Well, it's standing. It's finished. It's finished now. It's called The Cars Unlocked. It should be released after the first of the year. It's live performances from 1978 to 1988. It's a lot of backstage foolery. It's a little bit like a home movie, but it's got a lot of really fun concerts on it. It's got some club dates. You know, it is sort of a nice representation of the band. I think people will learn, you know, more personal things about the band, and it's quite cool.
I think that's an interesting point because as a fan of the band, the Cars, to me, there was always this certain mystique about the band. I mean, you guys always, especially when the videos came out later for things like You Might Think and everything, obviously the band had a great sense of humor and joking around, but early on, there really wasn't much to find out about the Cars, you know? I think it's going to be really cool. So this documentary will shed some of those insights, I imagine.
Yes, it will. It'll take a little bit of the mystery away.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, right.
Are there other videos somewhere that take even more of the mystery away that you can't share?
No, maybe not.
Maybe
I'm not sure. Yeah, I suppose so.
It's amazing, too, to me that the Cars music, as over the years, it's taken on a whole new status. I mean, it has become so much a part of culture and pop culture and everything that you see in the movies that it's been. When you were playing Moving in Stereo, I couldn't help but to flash back to Fast Times at Ridgemont High, one of my favorite scenes in that movie.
Right.
But also, of course, in TV commercials today, you hear Cars songs all the time. Did you ever think that when you wrote those songs and did them originally, that here we are 25, 30 years later, and they are still this big part of what people identify with?
I couldn't say that I did think that, no.
No?
No, I would have never imagined that, no.
So, and I imagine you get a lot of requests for Cars music to be in various different things, right?
Most certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been very flattering.
Yeah. And now, and I can't not ask you this because we've seen so many bands go out and do performances. Obviously, at this point, I mean, obviously Ben is no longer with us, but would you ever consider doing anything under the Cars banner again with the surviving members of the group?
I might have been interested to record. I'm not so interested in touring, I would say.
Well, touring is something that you're doing now for the first time in a long time,
right?
In support of Nexterday. Tell us what that's been like. You've already done a few shows, right?
I've done some shows, but you know, it's been sort of contained. I mean, I'm not going to be certainly touring for a year or two.
Right.
I think maybe I think I would just do a little tour. But I think if I was to do the Cars, you know, it would be a long tour.
Right.
I actually don't think that I would want to join in on a long tour.
Right. Well, you've got Greg Hawkes on the new record, right?
Yeah.
He appears on the record.
He played on a, yeah.
So you're still in touch with the guys for the most part?
Yeah, most certainly.
Because that's the thing, too, with the Cars. When you guys broke up, it really wasn't any huge falling out or over anything.
No.
It just kind of ran its course for you, right?
Yeah, we weren't beating each other up or anything.
Yeah.
I thought that, you know, at that point in time, it was a good time to take a break. I think you get in that routine of, you know, record tour.
Right.
And, you know, it was like 12 years of that, and I thought maybe we were a little bit, like, shaky with each other at the end of that. And we sort of disbanded quietly, and then sort of never really put it back together.
Right.
Which was okay with me.
So, possibility that you'd make new music with the guys, but as far as doing shows, it's not something you're interested in?
No, you know, unless it was, you know, a contained situation, if it wasn't too long, you know, or
So some sporadic touring that people will see in support of Next Day. Just select dates, not any sort of major touring.
Exactly.
Anywhere they can go to find out where you're going to play? Do you have your own website?
Yeah, I do have a website. Yeah.
Okay.
It's RicOcasek.com.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
Now we have to put you to work here, if you don't mind, and ask you to sign these jeans. These are Levi's 501 original jeans that we are collecting a bunch of very cool signatures, and we ask you to add yours to them. And we're
happy to.
We're going to auction these off for a very good cause as supporters of VH1 Save the Music Foundation. So there's a lot of spots taken, but there's still some strategic spots left on the jeans, right?
I see a few here.
So I don't know which spot you're going to go for, but
well, let's go for here.
You're good. Oh,
that's a good one. Yeah.
Rick was thinking of another spot earlier, but
you thought I was going to do that one, huh?
I thought you were going for it.
I was going to.
Absolutely.
Now that I know, I should have.
You can sign twice if you want.
No, I think.
Okay.
No,
Rick,
I'll just.
Thank you so much. Best of luck with the album.
All right, thank you
Next
so much.
Day is in stores now, and go look for Rick on the road. Some sporadic dates here and there, but who knows? Who knows what the future holds, right?
That's right.
Very cool. Thanks for coming by.
We'll keep it a mystery.